You refused a request from the Home Office to house migrants. What did they offer you and why did you turn it down?
This video is going to make you realise that the scale of the impact of migrant hotels on local communities is way worse than you ever could have possibly imagined. Listen to this guy's story.
A considerable amount of money, Beverly. It was probably double what we would normally make on a good year, because they offered full occupancy on a rolling contract for a year.
So how does that work? Somebody literally just picks up the phone to you, or do they send you a letter?
They sent us a letter first,
right?
And to be honest with you, I thought it was a joke. And
because of the amount of money they were offering.
Well, I just couldn't believe that the government wanted to put, illegal migrants up in four-poster beds.
Yeah.
At Camelot Castle. I mean, it was absolutely remarkable. It would have destroyed the village because one of the things they said is to lay off all the staff. And all but two, because they do meals on wheels. You clean the rooms once a week.
You're probably a big employer in the village.
Well, a major employer in the village, and locally. And of course, those jobs in a village like Tintagel, they wouldn't be replaced.
No.
So, but also they would have stacked the place up with about 300 people, and you then have those people wandering around the village. I don't know whether they intended to contain them or whether they would be allowed out and about. I know in other areas, certainly hotels in Newquay have had some serious problems because there were a few hotels that did take the migrants there.
Presumably people who stay at your hotel then spend their money in the village.
Well, of course they do. They do spend their money there, and it would have destroyed the local economy. It's hard to say how many hundreds of thousands of pounds our guests spend in the village, but certainly a fair amount. But it's also the cultural degradation that goes along with this.
Absolutely shocking. Let's take another look at that castle that these migrants are staying in. Look at that. So the Home Office was genuinely considering shutting down this beautiful castle hotel and turning it into a migrant hotel. And why is it so damaging to the community? Not just because you have dodgy blokes roaming around, a lovely Cornish village, but because it is completely annihilating local economies and local communities, right? I'm from Cornwall. This place is in Cornwall, and let me tell you, tourism is basically the only sector in Cornwall. It is people's only income, only livelihoods, right? If you take away the hotel that is housing tourists, right, and people who have jobs in Cornwall, the vast majority of them are working in the tourism sector. They're working, they're working in hotels. They are working in shops that sell gifts for tourists. They're working in ice cream shops that sell ice creams to tourists, right? Tourists are the bedrock of the Cornish economy, and to try and basically shut down this village's livelihood by offering one hotel owner a huge sum of cash, I think is morally reprehensible. It is absolutely vile. I can tell you, in most little Cornish villages, right, there's like one major hotel. Okay, it's small places. It's not like you've got loads of hotels. If you shut down one of them and turn it into a migrant hotel, you take like all of the visitors out of that place. This is just an absolute nightmare. It would mean so many people losing their jobs, right? And governments, they're meant to be all about empowering local community, and here you have the Home Office saying, sorry, get rid of all your staff who are locals. We're going to bring our own guys in from London or wherever to do the staffing at the migrant hotel. I mean, this is absolutely horrific what they are doing, but they get away with it because they offer so much money. I mean, you heard that guy saying he thought it was a joke, the amount of money that they were offering him. And there was a girl, Jess, that was on the Channel 4 show that I was on. She lives on the grounds of a hotel that her family used to own, and then they sold it on to someone else, not realizing that this someone else was going to take a load of cash from the Home Office to turn it into a migrant hotel. And she said, the amount that they offer is astronomically more than that hotel would ever make, like even in their best season, right? So not only is the taxpayer getting a terrible deal, right? Because we're paying way more for these hotels than these hotels would normally ever make. Like, the government hasn't really tried to barter down the cost. But also, the Home Office is completely destroying local economies, not just by having dodgy blokes walking about the place, which also might put tourists off coming, but they're telling them to fire all of their staff, you know, that employs the local community. You know, in a small village, it has an absolutely huge impact. I think what the Home Office is doing is morally reprehensible. We had the Labour Party hint to us before they came into power that they would end the use of migrant hotels within 12 months. They've now pushed that back and said maybe 2029 at the end of Parliament, but we don't seem to even be getting anywhere near to that, because the number of migrant hotels in this country has actually gone up since Labour came to power. They've opened more of them. The number of migrants living in hotels has gone up from, I think, 30,000 to 38,000 since Labour took power. It's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good. We're going to see more local communities completely ruined by this. And I think Cornish communities, where tourism is like their number one sector, it's like they are completely lost without it. I think this is absolutely devastating. Anyway, let me know what you think of this in the comments. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already.